The SME Philippines is a free learning platform offered to Filipinos who are looking for a way to learn and build real employable skills that are in demand. Learn marketing, entrepreneurship, photography, culinary, advertising, videography, business operations, gardening, personal development, health and fitness, finance and accounting, music, and academics. Learn and share your skills today. Sign up now at sme.ph.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Suzie, and welcome to The Future of Women, Work, and Web, a show that puts the spotlight on entrepreneurs and features lessons and insights from industry experts. This is a special collaboration with SME Philippines and our very own private Facebook group called The Passionate and Empowered Women Entrepreneurs. Good afternoon po sa mga live viewers natin. Please say hello. Saan po kayo nanonood? My name is Sarah Fernandez and I'm the founder of the Next Wave Consultancy. As an eco-business consultant, I offer strategic advice, marketing services, the confidence and the motivation to sustainable SMEs wanting to launch or scale in Asia. And I'm very happy to be working with my co-host Suzie and SME Philippines in helping uplift and empower our Pinoy entrepreneurs.
Yes, that's right, Sarah. So we have technically rebranded our Saturday coffee break sessions to the Future of Women, Work, and Web, which is very much aligned with our advocacy. And again, I'm Suzie. I'm the Chief Passion Coach of the modernmaria.co, an online coaching and mentoring company to help starting entrepreneurs turn their fear into a plan through guided business planning. And we are the founders, together with Sarah, of the Passionate and Empowered Women Entrepreneurs Group on Facebook. And our mission is to mentor, champion, and foster women in business and to provide a platform for community building, support, and collaboration, just like what we're doing today. For those who haven't joined our community, the link is below. Yeah, I think it should be there. If you have questions for today's guest, please type them in the comments below so we can read them on air and, answer them on air.
Yes, that is true. There are so many risks in doing business. Suzie and I should know that. So, how do you set up your business for success? By first choosing the right legal structure for your company and protecting your business from the start to the very end of every engagement. So para sa mga nanonood sa atin live, gusto namin malaman kung ano yung mga business nyo na sinimulan nyo ngayong quarantine. Are you selling products or are you a service-based business? Please let us know in the comments. So, swerte na tayo if meron tayong kaibigan na lawyer na pwede natin kulitin, di ba, for legal advice. So, today sulitin natin siya. And if you have questions, just type them in the comment section.
Yes. I think this is one of the pain points of starting entrepreneurs, I would say. Yeah, just like what Sarah mentioned, parang lahat tayo we get excited a lot with the creation of brand, all this, creative processes. Pero pagdating sa admin, and I'm very guilty of this, parang nahihirapan ako because that's not my field, that's not my arena. That's why we have our guest for today. So she's a friend from the way back from the university. She was admitted to the Philippine Bar in 2018, and she obtained her Juris Doctor degree and bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of the Philippines, where I met her. And in her legal practice, Atty Gallego specializes in corporate law, contracts, and litigation, and gaining experience from running their family business since 2010 and serving as counsel to startups and listed corporations while employed in a law firm. Atty Gallego enjoys the advantage of experience in industries including retail, banking, mining, technology, and real estate. And as a litigator, she handles family law, labor, and criminal cases. Okay. All right. So without further ado, let's invite on our screen Atty Jel Gallego. Hi,
Hello,
Jel.
everyone. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Jel! Share ko lang, no, gano'n ka-small yung world. So, Jel and I went to the same school in Saudi Arabia. So, hello sa mga viewers natin na who are sons and daughters of hardworking OFWs.
Small world.
All right.
I think we can already start because we're gonna have a lot of questions for sure.
Okay, we can start. Yep.
Yes, take it away, attorney.
Okay, hello everyone. I am Atty Jelorie Gallego, and today, as you crunch your numbers, you develop your business ideas, figure out your operations, I urge you to join me as we take a step back and take the law into account in your business startup and your business development. So first things first, I'd like to make clear that this is not legal advice particular to your circumstances. This is meant to educate and provide you a general overview of legal matters that might come in handy, especially with the following topics. We will be discussing form. Should you do a single proprietorship, a partnership, or incorporate? We'll discuss basic taxes that you have to keep in mind, as well as contracts and some labor considerations. So let's jump into it. Let's think about it. First, would you want to be a sole proprietor? By being a person or a citizen here in the Philippines, by just being you, you can create or you can start your own business. The advantage of this is that you are the boss of your own self. You make your own management decisions. You don't have to confer with anyone else. But a downside, perhaps, is that there would be unlimited liability. When you are a sole proprietor, even your personal assets like your home, your personal bank accounts, these could be made to answer for debt in the long run. I'd like to make clear, tax-wise, single proprietor has a number of options, but usually this follows the 0% to 35% tax rate, meaning 0% for income that does not reach the threshold of 250,000 and incrementally thereafter hanggang makaabot po tayo sa 35% tax rate. Next is partnership. So Article 1767 of the Civil Code defines that by a contract of partnership, at least two people, come together and bind themselves to contribute money, property, or industry to a common fund with the intention of dividing profits among themselves. So if you have at least two persons, you can form your own partnership. And as I mentioned with the definition earlier, it is by contract or by mere agreement, a partnership commences. So what you have between you or between your partners is a contract of partnership. There are different types of partnerships. Perhaps you can be a general partner, or if say you only contribute labor or industry, yung talent mo, yung skills mo, then you can be an industrial partner. Or perhaps ikaw lang yung provide ng capital. That's what you call a capitalist partner. And there is a concept of limited partner, or you're a partner who is only liable up to the extent of your contribution to the partnership. So a partnership, in essence, creates a separate juridical personality aside from your own personality as a person. The downside here is, in general rule, unless you're a limited partner, there is still unlimited liability. Meaning, if the partnership folds or becomes bankrupt or closes and there are outstanding debts, your personal property may be within reach of your creditors, but only to the portion of your contribution in the partnership. So habulin mo na lang yung partner mo if ever. In terms of transferability, example, you want out nasa business and say you'd want to bring your friend along, you can only transfer your interest in the partnership if your other partners agree. So that's something to keep in mind. With respect to taxes, what happens is, while there is a separate juridical entity, which is your partnership, you're technically taxed individually. Once your company distributes profit amongst yourselves already, so your partners, say there are two of you, once you've earned income of say 100K, and that's already the profit that you would want to divide, then what happens is you report for your personal income statement that 50K profit, and it is taxed individually as like a sole proprietor within the tax rates of 0% to 35% tax rate. So medyo cross siya. You have a separate entity, but you're being taxed individually. Next, we have a corporation. The Corporation Code, as amended by RA 11232, has provided that a corporation may be formed by not more than 15 individuals. This may be persons or juridical personality. So a partnership or a corporation can be an incorporator. They can join you in forming a corporation. But a corporation is a fiction of law. It is created by law. So its starting point or commencement as an entity is determined when you receive your certificate of incorporation from the Securities and Exchange Commission. The beauty of corporations, however, is because it is a separate personality, all of its own, and it is created by law, there's limited liability. The corporation answers for its liabilities, and it is separately and distinct from your personality as an individual. So your personal assets, your bank accounts, your house, your lots, whatever you have, they are not made answerable to any outstanding debts that the corporation may have. So your only liability is limited to the extent of your subscribed capital in the corporation. What makes a corporation maybe slightly less attractive is the fact that its tax rate is fixed at 35% corporate tax rate in general.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So
Atty Jel,
yes.
can we talk about the ease of doing business in the Philippines? Because I stumbled upon this report by the World Bank. It's called the Doing Business 2020 report, and I'll just say some data that I've gathered. So the Philippines is currently ranked 95 out of 190 economies. So in terms of they study our laws, our regulations, the time and cost of registering a business in the Philippines. So they compared us against our Southeast Asian neighbors. And it's sad to say that we're behind. But having said that, our government has, done some changes over the last decade. And according to the World Bank, it takes an average of 13 procedures to start a business. So 9 procedures to register a property, 22 procedures to build a physical establishment, and once the business has been set up, the company makes 13 annual tax payments. So for you, is it easier now? Has it been easier more than ever?
It is easier now in the sense that I think government agencies have a standard response time. Provided that all of your documentation is complete and correct, usually they would provide you a window anywhere between a couple of days to a month or a week, depending on where you do business. The thing with the Philippines is it largely depends on where you do business. There are certain cities that have shorter procedures or that the procedures are all lumped in one. There are certain cities that have more regulatory or compliance requirements. The thing about it is because we have local governments and barangays, what usually happens is you get a barangay clearance and then you go to your LGU. And the thing is, it's usually a multi-step process. You can't just go to your LGU without going first to your barangay. Or for example, you have to have your DTI ready first before you go to BIR, and so on. So when you get stuck at one point of the registration process, it kind of snowballs, and that causes or accounts for some of the delay. But
Yes.
how quick the registration process will be depends largely on where you do business.
Okay, that makes sense.
I agree. Actually, just to add on that, because I have my I have my personal experience on this, and it took us a while. Honestly, it's one of the most common pain points for starting entrepreneurs in the Philippines, and it's good that you brought that up, Sarah. Because yeah, we're really really behind. But I agree with Jel that it really depends on where you are. Because it depends on the local government as well, how efficient they work. But I would say for you, for as a starting entrepreneur, if you already have your complete requirements, do your due diligence and follow up. Medyo dapat mas maging proactive ka in terms of following up your applications, because there's always, like, this is the ideal situation that the paper should be ready by these days, but you need to go there and knock on their door and yeah, do proactive actions.
Another point I'd like to add is it also depends widely on industry. For instance, if you're selling cosmetics, you're like a startup cosmetic company, then you'd have, aside from DTI, you'd also have to go through FDA to make sure that your products are FDA approved. So there are certain industries that require more steps. Like, for example, if you're in lending, then you have to either go through BSP if it's necessary for an additional permit, aside from just going straight to, say, SEC to incorporate. So it also depends on what type of business you're going into.
Right. And just to summarize, what Attorney Jel and Susie have already mentioned, the decision will not only have an impact on how much you pay in taxes. So whether you choose to be a a partnership, or get into a corporation, it also depends on the other factors would be the amount of paperwork that your business is required to do, the personal liability you face, and your ability to raise funds as well.
Yes, that's true. Yep. Actually, I have another question. Sorry, Jel.
Go.
Another topic nito, but because I'm curious, we set up our hostel as part of a corporation, and now a new, that type of corporation came up, which is the single corporation, and I'm
Correct.
really curious how it works. And why would I mean, which one should be better? Like, is it should I go for sole proprietor or corporation? What's the benefits, or what's the pros and cons for that?
With the amendment of the corporation code, they now do allow a single person to incorporate. So that's good. And the beauty of that amendment also of RA 11232 is that it has removed minimum capital requirements for you to incorporate. So this would allow you to, having a corporation would allow you to raise more funds, so to speak, so that you can increase your capital stock and sell them. So there would be more shareholders in your company. That's an advantage, definitely, for a corporation. It would be easier in a way to expand and to have infusion of capital into your business if you are incorporate. The downside perhaps would be that your corporate tax would be at 35%. As opposed to if you're starting out and you're a single proprietor, then you can start at 0% when you reach the 250,000 threshold. Then you'd be taxed at 20% and so on. So more income, that as your income grows, then the tax rate grows. As opposed to the corporation, it's 35% in general. So those are things to consider, but also you'd also figure out that aside from capital infusion, for some, what really draws them into incorporating is the limited liability factor. So
Right.
yeah, so those are things to consider. But definitely you can incorporate, or you can start a sole prop, and then when you're ready to expand and you need more capital infusion, then that's when you start incorporating. So those are some ways to go about it.
All right. Thanks for that, Jill.
Okay. So shall we move on and talk about taxes?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about taxes. So, my mistake when we started our business in 2010 was that we were not able to account for local government tax. Local government taxes, we'll start with that because that's the easiest. First, there's community tax. This is basic. This is your cedula. This is ranges somewhere between 50 pesos to 1,050. That's okay. Next is your business tax. Your business tax is a percentage of gross sales. So how much this percentage is depends widely on where you do business. Let's go back to that. There would be some jurisdictions, some cities that may be near each other, but has different business tax rates. So you have to figure this out because the basis of business tax for local government tax is not your income. It's gross sales. So bago mo patanggalin yung cost of doing business mo dyan, may babayaran ka ng business tax. Of course, if you also own property, like you own the property where your shop is at or where your business is in, then there's real estate tax. What we are more familiar with is the national government tax. We pay income tax and we have withholding tax, as well as for every purchase that we have, there is either value-added tax or percentage tax. So let's discuss, because this is a point where you have an option. Okay, so value-added tax in general is 12%. 12% of what? The basis here is actually gross sales, but it is the VAT payable is actually the difference between output VAT and input VAT. So whenever you pay for something from a supplier, that portion of the price has input VAT. And whenever you sell something to your customer, a portion of that price has output VAT. So pinagbabangga mo siya. Output minus input is VAT payable. So in case that you have more input, meaning mas marami kang stock that you bought, as opposed to when the amount that you have sold, then it's also possible that VAT payable is 0 or negative for the time being. But if you have more sales, more output VAT, as opposed to your purchases or from your suppliers, then that's when you'd have a positive VAT payable to the BIR. So value-added tax is at 12%. An option here comes because there is such a thing as percentage tax. Percentage tax is 3% of gross sales or receipts. And while the general rule is that to have value-added tax, there is an exemption such that if you have not yet crossed the 3 million gross sales threshold, then you're just good with 3% percentage tax. I encourage you actually to take advantage of that, especially if you're just growing, to start off with percentage tax at 3% gross sales. And once you reach the 3 million threshold, that's when you start becoming a VAT registered business. So those are things that you have to consider. Another
Jel, I have a question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh my. This is one of our mistakes when we set up the corporation as well, because we should have started, just like what we said, we should have started with percentage tax, because we're just, we can't really reach the 3 million threshold nung nagsa-start kami.
Mm-hmm.
But who determines that? Because that was recommended to us by BIR. And knowing that we're so clueless about all these things, we just accepted it. But who should identify this? Whether I go for VAT or I go for percentage tax?
When you're starting out, you can perfectly go and say to BIR, percentage tax po muna. When we reach the 3M threshold, saka po kami mag-register for VAT.
Right.
They would say kasi usually, syempre, mas gusto ng government yung 12%.
Yeah.
12% is that tax, diba? Mas ang laki ng difference. But you can say that. And if they say na bawal, ask them, am I operating an industry that is not within the exemption that allows me for percentage tax? Because it's possible. General rule lang naman yung mga pinag-uusapan natin. So if you're starting pa lang and you're starting small, let them know. Pwede po bang percentage tax muna? And chances are, pwede.
Okay. Medyo na-scam ako doon.
Ask them for percentage tax, because the thing is, it's so easy to switch from percentage to VAT. They have a mechanism for that. But pag pagka-reach mo ng 3M, mag-VAT registration ka na. But it's so hard. There will be so many questions if suddenly you shift from VAT and then percentage tax. Kailangan mo pang maraming requirements.
BIR, I'm not making any money.
I don't think it makes a lot of sense for them na bakit VAT ka na magpa-percentage ka pa ulit. So,
okay. All right.
Thank you, Jill, for that. Can we quickly talk about mixed income earner? So I'm still employed in a company and I have a side hustle that I registered. So kasi hindi lang so parang there's a company that pays for my that files for my income tax, but I have the responsibility to file my own tax for my business as well.
Correct. Okay, if you're a mixed income earner, you have two options. Your option is either to go with the personal income tax rates, the one that I said earlier, yung 0% to 35%. So you add all your sources of income. This one is for salary. This one is for salary. This one is for your side hustle. And then, all together, after your deductible income, deductible expenses, dun sa income tax return mo, pay tax due based on that scheme, yung 0% to...
It's 6 o'clock.
0% graduate to 35% graduated scale. That's option 1. Your option 2 is to choose 8% of gross sales or receipts.
Okay.
Okay. That's an option, provided that you have not exceed 3 million sales.
Are we talking about the 8% flat rate?
Yes.
For freelancers. This is
Same.
I guess a lot of people know of this already. So this is brought about by the train law.
Correct. It's the same. It's the same. But yung beauty about it is if you choose the 8% gross 8% of your gross sales or gross receipts, the beauty about this is that it's in lieu of other percentage taxes. So isang bagsakan lang siya. But do note na hanggang 3 million lang din yung threshold nun. The moment that you have earned your first 3M, you instantly go back to the personal income tax rate of 0% onwards.
Right.
0% to 35%. Yeah. So that's an option if you're a mixed income earner.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Jel. And another kagandahan din ng 8%. So instead of paying multiple times in a year, so because I'm an 8%er, I only have to pay the quarterly and annual income tax. So I don't need to pay the quarterly percentage taxes anymore, which if tamad ka mag-file or makakalimutin ka, kailangan ka i-remind nung accountant mo, this would be beneficial for you.
Correct. Do note pala, when we talk about percentage tax and value-added tax, there is a monthly and a quarterly repertorial requirement with the BIR. Kahit 0 yan, dapat nagpa-file ka. So magkaiba yung filing and reporting sa payment. So pitfall kasi is wala pa naman akong kinikita, so wala pa akong dapat bayaran, so hindi ako magpa-file. No, you're required to file, even if that's 0. At that point. So, yun nga, you mentioned yung beauty about the 8% for mixed income earners is income tax na lang.
So, just to clarify, Jel, no, once you set up or registered with BIR, that's the time you start filing. Tama, even though you're not operating yet.
Yes. That can be 0. Okay. You can reflect there 0 income, 0 everything. You just have to file.
Okay. Otherwise, what's the penalty?
It depends. It depends. In general kasi, what happens is the BIR audits you, and then that's when they tell you how much your penalty is. And they have the authority to look at your books for 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. So kahit na, it was a rookie mistake sa umpisa, it might, diba? It might come to bite you in the ass at like year 3 or year 4 that you already know how to go about things. So just take note that if you're already registered, there is a monthly and a quarterly repertorial requirement with the BIR. It might be best if you talk to your accountant about that. They would know.
Perfect. Yeah. I think for all the starting entrepreneurs who are listening, I think that's important as well to consider the timing of when do you register your BIR. Kasi minsan, siguro 1 year from now pa yung operations niyo pero registered na kayo. So you really need to comply with all these regulations, and you might think wala siyang repercussion, but there's penalty. May minimum penalty. So you wouldn't want to have penalties parang piling up even before ka mag-operate. So you need to be mindful of these things.
Do note that if say kumuha ka ng business permit at October or November, pagka January, you have to renew with City Hall. Like that. If you open your business now and like mag-register ka with BIR, kailangan mo ng income statement for the year 2020. So, that's yung operations mo from September to December 2020. Kailangan mag-submit ka ng ITR ng April 2021. So, those are things that you have to take into consideration then.
Okay. Flex ko lang yung BIR. So, I mean, in the 90s, it was probably harder for every entrepreneur, but now we have they're digitizing their whole system. So parang ngayon kasi may sistema naman ang BIR na. So medyo pasakit lang sa mga Mac users, pero if Windows user ka, you know what I'm talking about. So meron ng ginagawa yung gobyerno, and there's also the e-pay system.
Correct.
Should be easy kasi pwedeng magbayad via GCash, yung mga ganon.
True.
Pwede
Yes.
na. So, you don't need to go out anymore. You just need to register your GCash account or your... I think you can also link it with bank. With us, it's GCash. So, it's perfectly... I mean, you just need to be aware of these things. And then, it's like a walk in the park kapag medyo sanay ka na.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So, I guess yung point natin for our first portion is that your tax liabilities and your government compliance will depend on your type of business as well as where you do business. So, take that into consideration. Next up, let's talk about contracts. What makes a contract? So, there are 3 essential requisites for a contract: consent, object, and consideration. Consent is the meeting of the minds of the parties. So pag nag-agree na kayo on the subject matter and the cause of the contract, there is consent. Next is the object. The object is the thing, the right, or the service, which is the subject matter of the obligation. Your object must be determinable, it must be legal, must be within the commerce of man, and it must be possible. And next is consideration or cost. This is, in short, presyo. This is the essential reason why a party assumes an obligation to do a service or to give a particular thing or product. So if you have all 3, if you have agreed on the what, which is the object, and the how much, which is the consideration, and nagkasundo kayo, there is agreement, meaning there is consent, in essence, you already have a contract. So why are contracts important? When I say contract, I mean a written document, a written contract. A written contract is important because it will outline your entire business relationship. It will provide you with your scope of work. It will make sure that both of you or all of the parties are on the same page as to what is supposed to be done, who is supposed to do it, when should it be done, and at what price. Having a written contract ensures that there will not be any misunderstanding down the road later with respect to these details. I'll give you a classic example. We discussed earlier that partnership is by agreement, by a contract between at least 2 people to contribute money, property, or industry in a common fund to divide profits. Common question is, business partners po kami eh. That's one. They say, business partners po kami. And then another person says, hindi, pinautang kita. Hindi mo pa ako binabayaran. It's been a year. And the other person would say, magkasosyo tayo, nakikita mo naman, hindi pa kumikita yung negosyo, anong ibabayad ko sa'yo? Having a contract early on, while you guys are discussing the prospect of doing business together, makes it clear. If it is a debt, meaning inutang mo dun sa other person, it should be clear. How much are you borrowing from that person? When should you pay them? How will you pay? Is it by installment? Is there interest, or is that the price by which you are being lent a certain sum of money? If that is clear early on, that it is utang, then you wouldn't have a problem and you wouldn't think kasosyo mo siya. Hindi mo siya kasosyo. You are a borrower and he is a lender. On the other hand, a contract of partnership, it would be very clear. He or she gave you a particular sum of money so that you can use that to build your business. In a contract of partnership, it would be very clear. At what point will you start dividing profits? What is the division of profit? Is it 50-50? Does someone get more because he is an industrial partner? Does someone get less? Or does someone get only at a point, like when you've reached a particular profit share, saka lang siya makaka-share within the profit? Having a contract in this scenario will make it clear to all of you. It would set the right tone and the right expectation with respect to your business relationship. So I urge you to consider putting your business transactions in writing to create a basic contract. Which goes to the next question. What basic contracts should you have prepared? Okay, so I've listed down at least 4. Lease contract, you should have a lease contract if you're renting from someone, or if you are in the business of renting out units or stalls. A supplier or distributorship contract. If you're getting from a supplier, even if it's an informal supplier, it would be good to put that in writing. Or if you have distributors of your product, so to grow your business, it would be good. Do they buy it from you? Is it by consignment? A distributorship contract would be very clear when they can return items for you. Is there a possibility for refund? And things like that. Next is a service agreement if you are in the business of providing a service. A service agreement protects both you as a service provider as well as the client. Outline what needs to be done and when, as well as what if hindi tuloy. Example, you're a makeup artist. Example, and this is a thing where I've heard people say, buti na lang may kontrata. And nagka-COVID. So, canceled yung kasal. If you didn't have a service agreement which provided there, let's say that the down payment was non-refundable, then you'd have a bride disgruntled and saying na, ba't hindi naman tuloy yung kasal, ibalik mo yung pera ko. But because early on, you may have a service agreement or a contract of service, it would be clear, nakalagay dun non-refundable. Then you will not have a problem. And he or she can always refer to that document and say, ay, oo nga, no, not refundable. Next is an employment contract, especially if you have hired employees or workers. It would be good to have an employment contract. Others would ask, may kontrata kami, may pinirmahan ako, pero hindi notarized. Is that still a contract? Or you'd ask me, may kontrata na, dapat ko bang ipanotaryo? Ideally, yes. The thing about notarization is it converts your document from a private document to a public document. In essence, kung nagtatalo kayo about it, hindi nyo na pagtatalunan yung fact na fake ba yan? Is it yung genuineness and execution? Hindi ako yung pumirma ng kontratang yan. Because you go before a notary public who subscribes and na nakalagay doon, subscribe and sworn to before me. So, it converts it to a public act na hindi mo na makocontest yung genuineness and execution of a particular contract. But, assuming your contract is not notarized, a contract remains valid for as long as the 3 essential requisites are present. The one we discussed earlier. The consent, object, and consideration. For as long as the document reflects the true agreement of the parties, even without notarization, that remains to be a valid contract. So I think that's it for contracts.
Yeah, that's thank you for that, Jel. Very, very relevant. This is what I was saying in the intro kanina na parang protecting your business from start to the very end of every engagement. So, alam mo yon, it protects you and it protects also your client. So, parang malinaw yung agreement nyo. And going back to the ease of doing business report, if a contract is broken down sa Pilipinas and a business needs to resolve a dispute with its customers or its suppliers, it takes an average of 962 days to resolve an issue through our courts. So if you don't want any mess, right, attorney?
Yes.
From day one pa lang.
Correct. The thing about it is, syempre, when we start our business, we are very hopeful. And we are also usually trusting. Okay lang yan. We'd always say, hindi magkakaproblema. The thing about contracts is, just have it. If you are right, then there's no problem. It was just a piece of paper. it cost you what? 100 pesos for notarization, ganyan. Or like 200. But if something happens down the line, then you have a contract to say, and there will be also some form of parang magdadalawang isip pa yung client mo or yung supplier mo. Dadalhin pa ba natin to sa korte? Ang linaw-linaw naman dun sa kontrata. 'Di ba? So it disincentivizes as well bringing you to court for whatever breach kasi malinaw naman sa contract.
Right. Yeah, thank you for that info.
Yeah, but yun na nga, it takes a while. It really takes a while. If you say it's 900 plus days, I believe you. Yeah, that's more than the average. Yun.
All right.
So, do you have are there any questions with respect to contracts?
Yeah, I think we can move on.
Okay. Sige, let's move on. And this is the last portion. Let's discuss labor standards. I discussed earlier that an employment contract should be part of your basic contracts to have. Okay. When you have an employment contract, figure out what type of employee do you need. The labor code provides different types of employment. One is the probationary employee. A probationary employee is someone who you hire and who you are looking at his or her fitness for the work to be done, but in no case should the probationary period be more than 6 months. At the 6th month, a probationary employee automatically becomes a regular employee by provision of law. Okay. But what if you're starting out and you still don't know how many employees you have, or if this person you just met and applied with you is the right person for your business? There are other options. There are project employees or contractual employees. What ang ginagamit na term ng labor code dito ay term employees. What are these? A project employee is only for a particular project. For instance, if you need a project employee, say for building or refurbishing your living room, example, living room. The moment that the living room is done, even if other portions of the home that you have to do are not yet done, tapos na yung kontrata. Because tapos na yung project. Ang project ay living room. A term employee, on the other hand, presupposes that you have already a fixed term. 3 months lang yung contract. So for 3 months, say from October to December, you are employing someone for a particular work to be done. So it's very clear in your contract that he's not a probationary employee, not a regular employee, contractual lang siya or for a particular term from October to December. Usually, there are contractual employees or term employees that one hires if, say, one of your regular employees had a maternity leave. So while she is on maternity leave, then you hire a contractual employee. Since determined naman yung period ng maternity leave niya, for contract lang yung kanyang employment. Another is seasonal employee. For instance, your business presupposes that you do catering services only for Christmas and New Year. So your employee is seasonally hired for the whole duration of, say, December 1 up to January 15, only for Christmas and New Year season. So that's a seasonal employee. So making sure that the terms of employment are clear from the very beginning makes it also clear to your employee kung hanggang kailan lang at saka para saan yung ginagawa niya. But do note, you can start off with probationary employment, that's max 6 months. After 6 months, automatic. regular employee. And last, let's discuss minimum wage. Do check out the minimum wage where you are doing business. If you're doing business in the NCR, National Capital Region, the minimum wage right now is 537 pesos. Others would say, hindi applicable yung minimum wage sa amin because we employ 15 workers or less. While it is true that you are not bound by 537, the Department of Labor and Employment still provides the absolute minimum for retail establishments or service establishments employing 15 workers or less. And in NCR, that's 500 pesos. So just because you're starting small, ganyan, doesn't mean that you're exempt from complying with minimum wage. There is a minimum wage that you still have to pay, taking into account cost of living allowances as well as the wage increase passed by the Department of Labor and Employment. Another is, do consider that you have to provide employees government-mandated benefits, meaning you will have to register your business with SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig. When I was doing business before, my employees would always ask, bawas pa po kasi sa sweldo namin yung SSS, PhilHealth, at Pag-ibig. Pwede po bang wag na lang? And my answer would always be this. Hindi pwede because the government requires the employer to provide these benefits. Even if your employees agree na wag na lang, pag mahuli kayo ng DOLE will go after you and will ask you to pay them in penalties and fees, as well as to pay whatever SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig amount which was due to your employees na hindi nyo binayaran. So this one, since it's government mandated, cannot be left to the will of your employee or you as an employer. Nasasabihin mo na wag na lang, kasi hindi naman siya bibili ng house, so wag na lang magpapag-ibig. Do note that these three government agencies cross-check with each other. So they will see if you paid SSS first for some employee but did not pay Pag-ibig, this could be audited by Pag-ibig because cross-register nila yan. And it is the employer's responsibility to ensure that the government-mandated benefits are provided to your employees. Your employees can always go to DOLE and say that they have not been given SSS, PhilHealth, or Pag-ibig, and they can always sue you for that in the future. So do be mindful to include these in your computations when you compute or crunch numbers to check if your business is viable or how many employees you will need to hire. These are basic labor standards to be mindful of.
Hello, Jel.
Hi.
Meron akong question. Regarding the government mandated benefits, so when do we start giving them out or providing them to the employees? Is it from the onset na na-hire sila or from the time they became regular employees?
It is from employment. So even if they are still probationary employees, you should register them. The thing about it naman kasi is the amount to be paid or the amount due for this government mandated benefits naman, they're also graduated. So you pay less if you pay less to these government agencies if the employee is being paid less. But the reckoning point is upon employment. It doesn't matter whether it is probationary, regular, if it's seasonal, if it's contractual, you have to provide these benefits. We're talking about employees, ha? Iba pa yung consultant, iba pa yon. But if regular, that you're the boss and you have workers, you have employees, you have to pay SSS PhilHealth Pag-ibig. Also, do note, when you pay this kasi, others feel masyadong malaki. But when you pay kasi, or when you register them and pay them to SSS PhilHealth Pag-ibig, there is an employee portion ng contribution and an employer portion ng contribution. In effect, nakakaltasan yung sweldo nila and then you're being asked to pitch in. Mukha lang siyang malaki on paper, but in essence, it is a co-partnership between the employee and you, the employer, as well as the government who provides the mechanism for this to provide social security, health, and housing benefits to your employee. Yon.
All right.
All right.
Questions
Yes.
with respect to labor?
I guess we can't skip this topic. We are under a public health crisis, so we have seen companies doing this. They have alternative work arrangements now. Can we talk about quickly lang yung business continuity plan na nire-require ni DOH, and where do companies go if they want to stay up to date to labor standards concerning the pandemic and yung COVID-19, to accommodate the COVID-19?
Okay. If you are looking for updates with respect to opening or reopening or closing or your business or any other temporary measure to deal with this, first you have to check the area where you're doing business at. Is your particular business industry allowed to operate already? So check your LGU. Are you allowed to operate? What are the requirements for you to operate while there is an ongoing pandemic? Thereafter, you can also check DOLE. Their website is very updated, and they have understood in a way, and they've been trying to keep businesses afloat as well as have employment for all of the laborers. They recently issued Labor Advisory Number 17, series of 2020, where they provide that they are highly encouraging alternative work arrangements, including work from home arrangements or flexible work arrangements wherein not say you rotate your employees so that everyone gets to keep employment while you, the business owner, is allowed to somehow lower costs considering that there is a pandemic. But there is also an option aside from flexible work from home agreements. There is an option to enter into wage agreements or wage contracts with your employees. That rather than you fire them or you close shop altogether, some may agree to not to forgo some of the benefits or incentives that they were previously enjoying, provided that in these contracts it is very clear that the wage arrangements are temporary in nature and only because the business establishment is affected by the pandemic. Another option that the DOLE recognizes is that there is a sense of temporary work stoppages and temporary business closures. They do recognize that the no work, no pay policy that is still in place, but do take note that if you have reached 6 months or any time over 6 months that you have not provided your employee work, it is no longer called a temporary work stoppage. It is now deemed to be termination. So
Okay.
6 months is the time threshold for that. You can check out Department Advisory Number 17 of DOLE if you're having business troubles as of now, although I hope not. There is a repertorial requirement as well for DOLE with respect to this because they're trying to monitor to see how they can help businesses as well as help laborers or employees during this pandemic.
Those are very helpful information, Attorney Jel. Thank you.
All right. I have. Do you have any more questions, Sarah? Because I have my last.
Yeah, go ahead,
question.
Suze.
Okay, sige. Just to this is your last slide,
Yeah,
Jel,
this
no?
is my last slide. I will just invite them that, if ever you guys have business queries or like particular questions with particular concerns, or if you would want contracts to be drafted for you, you can always contact me. I have a Facebook page. That's in Facebook. That's Attorney Jel Gallego. You can always email me, and my cell phone number is also there should you wish to have legal consultation on these matters.
Yes. I'm pretty sure we're gonna need a lot of your help because I needed that before. So, 'di ba? Ang dami kong nagawang mistakes because I skipped this part. But then again, maybe one last question before we wrap things up. I know a lot of people are starting businesses and it's operating even without complying to the government standards. And I know maraming gumagawa niyan. Okay. So if I own a business and it's already operating, why do I need to register? What's the relevance of this? Because I have my but I wanna know the perspective of from a legal standpoint. Looking at the legal side.
From a legal standpoint, when you register your business, others kasi would think, oh, it only makes me subject to government regulation, government scrutiny, government costs, all this and that. But formalizing your business by registering your business also provides you the opportunity to grow as a business. You can actually say, when you do your online selling, for instance, that you are a DTI registered business enterprise. It gives some credence to your business organization to know that you are under, or you are registered under government agencies. For some, this if you would need loans, for instance, if you're about to expand, this banks for sure will ask for business requirements, for business registration. If you have not registered beforehand, how then will you say that your business has been operating, say, since 2005 and you just registered 2015? Diba? So, at least get the basic registrations, DTI registration for one, as well as your LGU registration. This will give this will not only formalize your business, but it will give a sense of assurance for you, for your lenders, if you're borrowing, especially for your clients, to know that you have already been registered with government entities.
Ooh, yes, perfect. Yeah, because I know a lot of people are hesitating to do this, di ba? Kasi ang daming taxes, ang daming ganito, it's too much of a hassle. So we really want to highlight the fact that you also get opportunities from doing this.
Correct.
And if you want,
if you want to join programs, like if there are programs for micro businesses, then you would be eligible because you are registered. If there are financial grants provided by the company, for instance, if you had your business registered pre-COVID, then you could have, diba? Then you could have availed, and your employees could have availed of whatever aid there was provided by, say, DOLE. But if you weren't registered previous to that, yes, you are a business. There's no contesting that. But you wouldn't be eligible for certain benefits. So that's something to consider.
Yes, that's true. Yep. I think that's it from my end. Thank you so much, Jel, for all the insights.
Thank you, Attorney Jel.
It is my pleasure to join you guys this Saturday and discuss business law with all of you guys.
Yay.
I hope you guys, learn something from this, and that you will be able to avoid the mistakes of my youth when I started my business.
Same, same. Okay.
I think everybody has made a mistake one way or another without, ever if they didn't consult with any legal team or an
Correct.
accounting team.
Correct.
But we hope that you've learned a lot of information that you didn't haven't considered before. And thank you again, Attorney Jel Gallego.
If ever pala that you guys need help, or like drafting your contracts, or like incorporating with the SEC, or if there are legal matters that you would like to consult, you please feel free to contact me. My Facebook page is facebook.com/attorney ATTY Jel Gallego, and you can always message me there, and I will get back to you, and we can discuss business solutions or legal solutions for your business concerns.
Yay! Oy, can I just say, maduguyang incorporation na. So, I would definitely recommend get a lawyer to help you on that, because again, that's part of our, mistakes. Hindi naman siya mistake, but it took us so long to figure this out, and it would definitely be valuable to have someone to support or to guide you on this, or even process for you, because and perfect si Jel for that. Oh, we have a question.
Yes, may pahabol na question si Mark Jason Villanueva. For those planning to register their business, is there a sort of maximum income threshold that when you reach it, you should already register your business? Or should you register from day one? Yung question nga ni Suzie.
Okay. Supposedly, you should be registered from day one. Okay? Supposedly. But I understand that, business does not always go that way. So like say, even if you incorporate, the law provides that there are, the law recognizes pre-incorporation activities. So it's possible for you to, start finding your suppliers, leasing out, find where you will lease, and all this and that. And that's when, while your registration process is ongoing, it is not unheard of to have started operations, especially considering, government bureaucracies. You said nga earlier, it takes at least 13 steps for all of this to go on. But syempre, legally speaking, you should register, and you should be registered from day one. The thing about it is, if you are not registered, the liability is personal. Okay?
Correct.
The liability is personal. If you're not registered, it's not a company. If you enter into agreements, whether or not your business, flies, the liability is yours. So those are things to consider. Some, prefer not to do it muna because you're starting pa lang, and that is an option. But legally speaking, if you want, if you're doing a business, or like if you're putting up something, building something, registration is part of the foundation.
Well said, Attorney Jel. I hope we answered your question. I guess that's it. Suzie, do you have anything to promote?
Okay. I would like to. Well, actually, there's nothing. But yeah, you can like the Facebook page of Sinag Hostel Siargao. Please support us. I think the Siargao Island will be opening soon, and of course, you can find me on the Mother Maria the Mother Maria Co. Business coaching. Yeah, almost forgot. That's it.
And then Attorney Jel, it's ATTY Jel Gallego. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
all
my
right. Thank you again, ladies, and thank you to our live viewers who joined us from the very beginning. Catch us the next time, next Saturday, especially if you're into fashion and thinking of putting up a store, we are going to talk to the ladies of Unarichi, who has pivoted into making protective fashion, and we'll also be discussing the new normal for physical retail stores. If you are a woman entrepreneur, please join our growing community at the Passionate and Empowered Women Entrepreneurs Facebook group. This has been Sarah. Like my page, The Next Wave Co. on Facebook, and follow me on IG at The Next Wave Co. See you guys. Thank you,
Thank you
everybody.
so much. Thank you,
Bye,
Jen.
everyone. Thank you.